are back. Welcome to another edition of Boss Lifestyles Presents Popular Perspective. I am your boy, Be the Bridge, and I am joined by the very lovely, the talented, the beautiful Victoria Lee Jones, and Mr. Boss Lifestyles himself, the man, the myth, the legend, Tory Jones. Hey, what's going on, y'all? What's the verdict?
What's going on? So
What's up?
today we have an very interesting conversation surrounding the man's role as a part that represent two different schools of thought. And then we'll get into navigating this whole situation. Tori, kind of introduce us to the different schools of thoughts.
Okay, let's go ahead and get the clip going. 1 second. Cue it up.
Get in this camera and talk to man real quick. You're a dad. You have made your wife a mother. Let me tell you something. You do not get to say that you going to work is you being a father. That's you being a worker. You going to work isn't you being a husband. That's you being an employee of somebody's business. You would be that if you didn't have a wife and if you didn't have kids. So stop coming home from work and making your wife and your kids feel like you going to work was you being a father and you going to work was you being a husband. Because that's not what you just did. You went to go work for wages. When you come home, you still need to be a husband. When you come home, you still need to be a father. Now, yes, you might be tired. I've been tired. Yes, you may be emotionally drained. I've been emotionally drained. Take the time that you need to reset and then give your wife some undivided attention and give your kids some undivided attention. Nobody's asking you to clock back in for 8 hours. Ain't nobody trying to be inconsiderate. But don't come home and then have your phone in your hand and can't make eye contact. Don't come home and give your wife 2 sentences about your entire day. Maybe you don't want to talk about work. Talk about your feelings. I'm just saying, ain't nobody going to be giving out no certificates and no ribbons and no crowns for you going to work. You giving that man 12 hours and giving your wife 2 minutes and want her to be appreciative? Man, stop.
You're telling me that a woman has to go work like a man every day, and a man goes work and he's tired when he gets home. A woman's not tired. She has to clean, cook, do the dishes, do the laundry. Are you kidding me?
Why don't you want to do that?
What are you talking about? Why don't I want to do it? You know how fucking tiring that is? Have you done that?
First of
Have you
all,
done that?
I do it every day.
First of all, yelling doesn't mean you're winning an argument. It's a sign of low intelligence. You can lower your voice and speak to me. I'm sitting right here. I can hear you. Men have different responsibilities. So all this, I cook and I clean and yeah, that's part of your function. But when your tire is flat, my function is to make sure you have a new tire.
But
when
that's
your
what
car
I'm
need an
saying.
oil change, it's my job to make sure these people ain't ripping you off. We have different duties and functions and responsibilities. And if you don't love your duty, your function, your responsibility, you're not fit to be a wife, period.
All right. What's y'all thoughts on that?
Oh my gosh. The two clips are very, very different. I'm not going to lie. I resonate with the first clip. Like, I don't feel like a dad's duty or a partner's duty is just to work and bring money. Like, I feel like a man's value is more than he brings financially, and the necessity of a man is more than he brings financially. So I just feel like as a father, you have to show up more than with a paycheck. And as a partner, whether it just be, a partnership of your choosing or it be a husband, I just feel like you have to be there for your wife or your partner. And that doesn't just involve bringing money. Like, the union involves so much more than money. And I just think that men should be able to, and not even just be able to, I really do think it's a necessity for them to do more than just a paycheck.
Okay. Your thoughts, Los?
Yeah, I agree with sis on this one. Definitely when when you've dedicated yourself, to a partner and you're connected as a unit, you know, and you starting a family, you should definitely give it a 100%. You know what I'm saying, in all aspects. Definitely being the leader, the head of the household. You should bring that to the table. Whether it might be you might have to wash clothes one day, you might have to iron the kids' clothes. You might have to do whatever. And on top of doing your job. You know what I'm saying? It's just wherever, your partner lacks at that particular point in time, you should be able to step in and help. And and vice versa. So yeah, I definitely believe in that.
Okay. I'm gonna play devil's advocate for a minute here. What about the man that's like, bruh, I didn't work all day, bruh. Listen, I I ain't washing no dishes. I ain't folding no clothes. That's a woman job. I'll take out the garbage and I'm doing the if the tire get flat or something like that, I'm gonna handle that. If you get locked outside, I'll come take care of that. I mean,
So
there's a
you're
lot of men.
more like going on the second clip. Like, listen, you got your duties and I got my duties. Handle yours and I got mine. Yours is to cook, clean, make a home. Mine is to make sure you got gas, your tires ain't flat, you ain't getting ripped off by the man.
Right. So that's not per se my beliefs now, but I'm just
Right.
speaking for the men that
Perspective.
do
Right.
feel this way.
Right.
What we're
You know
gonna do
what?
then what we're gonna do tonight, we're gonna do something a little different. We're gonna take calls right now. We got calls calling in. So our first caller gonna call in. They're calling in right now. 1 second, y'all. Caller, what's your name and where you calling from?
Yo, what's good? My name Rome. I'm calling from Savannah, Georgia.
All right, Rome. Tonight our topic is, the role of a father and a husband. I mean, it's some men out there feel like, it's certain things just a man shouldn't be doing. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
be it washing dishes, taking the kids a bath, if you got little small
Mm-hmm.
kids, cleaning up, I mean, what's
Mm-hmm.
your take on that? How you feel about that?
I take is, everything is case by case. However, I feel as husband and wife, you know, we as in a companionship. So we working together.
Hmm.
It ain't so much on what you do, it ain't so much on what she do. The goal is to reach 100% at every night. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? And if your man at 60, then you should be at 40 and vice versa. I think so much in today's generation, you know, everything is a task. If my man can't do this, my man can't do this, my man can't do that, he ain't a good man to me. We put in stipulations into the relationship before we even honestly are into the relationships. So
True. Mm.
what that does on the flip side for me and for people that don't understand is that when you put so much into a person and say he got to pay my bills, come up with this money, come up with this and that, well, say that man in the process of going get your money get into an accident and can't pay for your stuff no more, that
Mm.
man leave him because he can't do it. So
Right.
if we practicing each other's roles in the household, you know what I mean? We're going to be
Hmm.
able to do this for each other. Whether I got to cook and do laundry because your legs broke, I got you.
Right.
Whether I got to go out and do this, I got you. You know what I'm saying? So, in my opinion, when it's roles in a relationship, you're handicapping the other party. You know what I mean? Do this
Mm.
shit together, rock it out together. You know what I'm saying? Because y'all got into it together, and that's just my straight up opinion. You know.
Oh man, Rome, appreciate that. Wow, you said a mouthful. You said
Yes,
a
sir. Yes,
mouthful.
sir.
Man, appreciate you, Rome. Man, we gonna continue this conversation. Great.
Okay. Y'all hold it down, man. Thanks for having me on.
No problem.
It sounds
Recording
decent.
stop.
Yeah, that sounds real decent. That was a good perspective. I like that one.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Rome on as far as when it comes to the marriage. Whatever role you got to take, that's what you got to do. It's a shared role. Um, like he said one key thing: if uh unfortunately something happened in your legs, you need somebody who can still get up there and do what needs to be done. You know what I'm saying? And if you guys are always sharing different roles, the train won't stop basically.
Right.
I
So
like how that was the example, but I feel like that should be the concept regardless of if somebody else is injured. I like how he said, like, oh, if I'm 60% today and you 40% and vice versa, that's what we have to do. I don't think that it should take me being injured for you to cook as my husband. I don't think that it should take me being ill for you to clean as my husband. Especially, I resonate with that second clip of the woman who's saying, like, listen, we both go out and work. We both come home tired. Why is it on me to cook and clean? And I know that man tried to shut her down, but I feel like she made a very valid point. Like, the examples that he was bringing out, well, I got to make sure you're not ripped off by the oil exchange person. I got to put gas in the car. Like, how often do you get an oil change? Like, once every 6 months, maybe? Like, how often do you put gas and fill up the tank? If you commuting every day, maybe once a week. So we're talking about daily labor compared to occasional jobs. Like, it's not a comparison. And I think that men sometimes kind of get it twisted when they believe, like, me just doing this quintessential macho stuff is me putting into the relationship, when honestly, if you have two working people, I feel like you have to spread the household duties.
That's a good point too.
Unfortunately, sis, a lot of men don't feel that way. I'm just here to tell you. I know in a perfect world that sounds great to you. I know I get that, but that's not gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? Men don't feel like that. And if they knew women feel like that before you, I guarantee you'll be less marriages. It'll be less commitment. It'll be less everything if they felt like that. You know what I'm saying?
You
Because
think so?
yeah, because I mean, genuinely, if I feel like men are traditionally programmed, you know, even though they don't come from the old ages, but they know about the old ages. So it's like, listen, that's a woman's job. They all, you know, they pre-programmed that this is a woman's job. So I mean, I hear what you're saying, but unfortunately, it's just not, you know, that's not how it's gonna work. You know what I'm saying? Not in today's market.
What I got to say on that, I think that role is constantly changing, and what I'm seeing here is it's kind of strange. What I'm seeing right now, it got a lot to do with economical status. It got a lot to do with a lot of things. Because there's some women now that actually don't agree with what you're saying, Victoria. And like, look, nigga, I don't need you to clean none of that. I don't need none of that. I need money. That's it. You know, that's all they need. They tell you, listen, I can handle all that. I need money. We don't need no time with your kids, none of that. We need money over here. Then you can get
So
some
I
time.
think that what you're getting
So it's
into
like,
is not a partnership. Because I think what you're getting into is more so two people who chose to have children together and they're working out that dynamic. Because that's a lot different than a partnership. I can't say a woman in a partnership telling her significant other, her partner, oh, I just need your money. Because a partnership is way more than money. It's way bigger than money. You know what I'm saying? So I don't even understand that. And then to your point, Carlos, I feel like I get that. I've heard that feedback from a lot of like men who aren't married, but married men typically give me different feedback. So I happen to be in a community of married men. I've watched my uncles with my aunties. I've watched my dad with my mom, and I'm fortunate enough to have brothers in committed relationships, and their feedback is similar. Like, my dad did my hair before school when my mama wasn't available. You know what I mean? There was no end to my dad is a macho man. He's a quintessential man to, epitome of a man. He gets up at 4 a.m. every morning. He goes out to work. But you think when he gets home, he's just like, oh, wife, you handle that? No, my dad cooks for us sometimes. When I was growing up, he cooked for us sometimes. He cleaned for us sometimes. He put on all kind of different hats. And that's a man who was born in the 60s. So I think these new age men are thinking like that it's traditional, but I don't think enough of these new age men been around a traditional man, because Man, me and my cousin still talk about my granddaddy's rice. My granddaddy throw down on some dirty rice. My granddaddy's born in the 20s. So you can't tell me a traditional man wasn't in the kitchen. I think we have this fantastical idea of what a traditional man is, and I think that it might be impeding on marriages, because if you have this fantasy, then when you get into a marriage, it's not the reality, and then you say, I want out of it because I bought into the fantasy and not the reality.
Let me add to that right there. So that comes to another topic that we're going to probably share next week. What do women really want from men? Because if you look at TV and social media, you would think all they really want is money. So, because of that, most men are out here. I'm talking about no matter what level they're at, low level, high level, everybody's trying to get money because they think if I have enough of that, then all this other stuff will be dealt with. You know what I mean? But these are other factors that women, when you get to meet someone, they say, you know what, I want a man who can do, chores, and who would help me, who wouldn't mind helping me do this, that, and the third. Women don't tend to care about that during the courting stage. If you're dealing and you're talking to someone and you're thinking it's gonna be long term, these are the type of things that you would think a woman would consider. You know what? Wow, this guy is really, he's a really cool dude. Forget his titles and what he looked like on paper. I'm talking about the individual. These are little things that should be like, even when you're with your girlfriend's girl, he's very clean. He keeps the house. His house is so nice. He keeps his car. Man, I don't even want to eat in this man's car. Like, these are
Let me
things that.
ask you guys this. Let me ask you this. Carlos, I know that you had siblings, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did you, and you have brothers, did you and your siblings have to clean up the house before you played outside? Did your mom teach you guys how to clean, to cook? Like, what was your role in the house as young men raised by a woman?
Oh yeah, definitely, man. They cut no corners with that. Man, listen, I had to make sure the garbage was took out, the yards was raked, the yards was cut. Anything that my grandmother or my mom thought that a man should do, I was doing it. Now, to piggyback off what you said about, back in the day. Now, different strokes for different folks. See, I had grandparents as well, so my grandparents grew up in their 30s and 20s, and my grandfather had a multitude of jobs. He wore many hats, but he did not cook. He did not clean. My grandmother was on that strictly. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that was her job. She did it to the best of her ability, and she worked. So she did both of those things. I said, so it's on a case by case basis. You know what I'm saying? But more so, back then you really didn't see many men in the kitchen back in those days. I mean, we can take a poll on it. I guarantee you, it wasn't a lot of men in the kitchen back in those days. However, I know it were some men in the kitchen. I mean, by choice. But the men didn't choose to be in the kitchen at that time. That's all I'm saying.
I kind of feel like somebody could take a primary role, but that doesn't mean the other person is exempt for being in that role. For example, I do agree that a man's primary duty may be the cars, right? Like, a man probably is going to take the primary goal or primary job of making sure the cars are fueled, you get your oil changes and things of that nature. If your tire's flat, it gets... But let me just say this. If I'm on the way to work and my gas tank happened to go ding because my husband forgot to put gas in the car, you think I'm going to just go past the gas station because that's my husband's job? Absolutely not. I'm going to pull over to the gas station. Same thing with my car tire. Let's just say my husband's out of town on a business trip and I catch it flat. You think I'm just going to park the car, get in the Uber, and say my husband's going to take care of it when I get back? No, I'm going to make sure that tire gets changed. I'm going to call AAA or whatever the situation is. So I understand that one party might take the primary might take the lead in a certain area, but that doesn't exempt the other person from doing it.
Absolutely, I agree.
My granddaddy, I wouldn't say he was the primary kitchen maker. He was the primary cooker. But he can get in the kitchen if he needed to get in the kitchen. Say, my grandma made everything good but the rice. My granddaddy's going to make the rice. You know what I'm saying? I think that when you delegate a duty exclusively to one party, like my boy said when he called in, you're handicapping the partnership. We all got to kind of ebb and flow. Where you're needed, I feel like that's where you need to get in.
Okay. I agree with that. I agree with that.
All right. Well, that's popular perspective. I mean, this topic here, we can go on and on. However, we're going to say this for next week. We're going to continue on this topic a little more because we want to get a little more in depth with the father role as not just a husband, but just co-parenting, just a baby father. We feel like, well, we'll get into each other's feelings on how we feel about that. But I do want to touch on are the roles different? You know what I mean? Obviously it has to be a little different because if you're not living in the house, it's gonna be a little different. You know what I mean? And then maybe if you are living in the house, that's something we got to talk about. So we'll definitely get into that
Definitely a
next week.
different avenue we can go down with this same topic. I like that. I like that.
Yeah, the non-partner, because we didn't even get into, and I would love to get into, a man's role as a father. You got a lot into a man's role as a partner. What about a man's role as a father? What does that look like? Does that just look like child support? Let's talk about it next week.
Next week.
Next week.
Y'all tune in. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, man. Definitely. Please comment. Please comment.
Yes, comment on this right here, you guys. We love to hear y'all responses when it comes to this topic. This is an ongoing thing in 2025. The role of a man and a father, a husband, it's changing, and it's changed a lot since the 20s all the way up to now. So definitely comment, subscribe, and share. Share this, share our podcast with friends, family. These are things that us as a culture and as a whole, really, all us need to be talking about.
Absolutely.
These are very important things, the structure of the family. I mean, there's no platform we can really talk about this, but we can talk about it here on Popular Perspective.
Yes, sir. The dialogue is necessary. Right. Believe in God because he believes in you. We out.